Hey guys, once again coming at ya at 3 o'clock in the morning, woohoo, cause that's how I be. Alright, but seriously, I don't know why I keep doing this at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think I just don't feel like doing it any other time, so fuck me, I guess, right? But anyway, today we're gonna be talking about a game that I've played on and off, sort of, but never fully beat, and that's Persona 3 FES. Now, don't get me wrong, I've played Persona 3 and beaten Persona 3, but only the portable version. And it's not because I think the portable version is the most definitive, well, to a certain degree, the most definitive, and it's not that because of the FEMC, female main character or whatever, it's really mainly because I just played a lot of handheld back when I was younger. I still play a lot of handheld stuff now, but it was just easier with school and everything. I could bring it to school, play it during lunch, playing during like free periods, go to my friend's house. It was just easier, so I beat the portable version first. I've actually played original like vanilla Persona 3 and FES, and I've played both of them to close to the end of the game, but never actually fully beat it. So this is going to cover Persona 3 FES, just the journey, not the answer. The journey is the base game, and the answer is kind of like a sequel-ish thing to the game, but I hear not a lot of people like it, and I really didn't want to do that to myself right now, so just Persona 3 FES. Now, I'm going to talk about the good first, and then I'm going to talk about the bad, because there are some things in it that I think are really rough, and I'm also going to say that there will be some spoilers. I'm going to try and keep major story bits of the spoilers, like kind of on the down low, and if I talk about that, I'll raise my hand or do something, let you know that a major story spoiler is coming up. Otherwise, there will be spoilers for like probably social links and stuff like that. So if you care about that, you might want to wait to watch this until a little bit later, or if you don't care, then just, go right ahead. So first off, let me say that originally I kind of felt like I liked Persona 3 the least of all the Personas, and that's mainly because of how edgy it was. Like, it felt like it was, gotta be dark and edgy, and to a certain degree I still feel that way, but I feel like after replaying it, I both appreciate certain things more and very much hate other things. And so what I do appreciate is that the cast of characters feels kind of more lifelike. If I'm being honest, I absolutely hate two of the characters, that being Yukari and Ken. Yukari, I feel, is just a massive bitch, and, maybe some of you who played Persona 3 absolutely disagree with me, but I think Yukari is a super bitch. She's really cocky and sassy, and that's kind of fine, but then there's a scene later on where you go to investigate something in this kind of shady area, and Yukari kind of forces you to go, and then if you talk to her and you say something like, oh, I'm a little nervous about it, she'll go, put your purse down, Sally. Yeah, so what, it's a little dangerous, whatever, who cares? But then when you actually get in the situation and there's danger, she talks shit to the guy and then hides behind you because, ooh, you're supposed to protect her. Fuck Yukari. The game does, to a certain degree, feel like it's pushing you towards Yukari as like a romantic interest at times, it feels like, but Yukari can eat an entire ass. I don't like Yukari at all. Ken, I honestly just think he's really annoying. I feel like he tries to act grown up, and maybe there's reasons for it, but I really just feel like he's very annoying as well. So those are two characters I just did not like. Other characters maybe started out a certain way, but definitely grew on me or grew as a person. Like, Junpei definitely grew over the course of the game. Mitsuru, I just kind of felt like she's hard to relate to, but I still like Mitsuru. She tries her best. Akihiko's good. Kuromaru's a cutie patootie doggo. Aigis is a robo that develops feelings. There's a lot of great characters in the game, and even if I don't like all of them, I feel like it's not really a benefit, but I don't think it's a detriment to the game either, because this game in particular really tries to kind of make them feel more human in a way. Some of them have really fucked backstories. Like, if you talk to Junpei's like, his dad's an alcoholic, he used to beat him, he hit him, his mom left a long time ago. Yukari, her dad died and her mom never really coped with it properly, so she kind of jumps from man to man to man, not really dealing with the death of her husband. Fuka doesn't really have a close relationship with her parents. Mitsuru's got stuff going on. Akihiko is, Akihiko's kind of an orphan. He grew up in an orphanage and stuff like that, so, I wouldn't say all the characters are, highly relatable, because, especially in Mitsuru's situation, she's a rich girl, head of the, part of the Koreaju group kind of thing. But, the characters have things about them that people in real life will go through, whether it's, alcoholic father, grew up as an orphan, it happens. Yukari not has a good relationship with her mom because her dad died, stuff like that. And so they kind of feel more real and not, weirdly, super weird, like in Persona 5, people aren't exactly, not usually anyway, relating to Yusuke, where it's like someone took him in, but there was a catch to it. It turned out it actually did whatever, and, so in this it kind of feels like more realistic. This is a fucked up thing that happened, but whatever backstory. So they do try and ground that in some realism. And the tone of Persona 3 is darker in general. I really can't get into it because of plot details. It is very plotty. But Persona 3 isn't necessarily a very happy game. A lot of not great things happen in it. And that's kind of the point of the game. Like, it's not there to hold your hand and be happy. You can have happy times, and you should cherish each day, because that's kind of the point of the game. But, in general, it's not necessarily like, hey guys, everything's gonna be Daijobu all the time. So, it does have a more mature, kind of darker feel to it. Kind of, everything's just kind of like brought down. And a lot of the social links in the game are kind of centered around like death or like darker themes or just sad stuff. There's a lot of just kind of sadness and death in general, because it's about like dealing with it and what's going on with the characters and everything. And so it's like they have slightly more mature themes and like people in really fucked situations, and it's kind of like just how they deal with those situations and their kind of outlook on life and what's going on with that. And I actually really do like the Persona 3 social links a lot. And if we're going off the Velvet Room, if we're going to talk about the Velvet Room, Elizabeth is a pretty top tier Velvet sibling. She's really quirky. You can go on these like little dates with her, and she's just really, she's really just fun to hang out with. So Elizabeth, top tier weird girl, love her. Elizabeth also gives you in FES, she gives you like little quests to do, and for the most part the quests are perfectly fine, but there's some stuff that's kind of annoying. Like, there's quests where it's like, on this specific day, you gotta talk to a person and get an item. That's always what it is. And if you miss that fucking day, God forbid, it's a pain in the ass. But what's really a pain in the ass, for me specifically, is I hated it. It's find the, like, legendary sword of this block of Tartarus, because you gotta run around, look for the golden chests, and then they may or may not have the item you need, and it's a pain in the ass, and I fucking hate it, and who thought that was a good idea, honestly? But moving on, going on to Tartarus 2, Tartarus fucking sucks. If you've played, like, if you're coming from this and you've played Persona 5, Tartarus is the main dungeon of the game, and it's pretty much Mementos. It's Mementos, but way larger. It's Mementos, but, like, kind of worse. Because in Mementos, really, you could grind up a lot in, like, let's say, the main dungeons, and then in Persona 5 go to Mementos. And if you really wanted to, you could just run through Mementos, be like, fuck it, and just go through it. But in Tartarus, you can't really fucking do that, because in Tartarus, it's like, that's the main dungeon, you really need to grind in it. They have mini bosses all the fucking time that are pains in the asses and kind of unfair sometimes. And then, like, it's just overall not a good time. I know I said I would talk about the good stuff and then go to the bad stuff, but I just want to talk about Tartarus really fast before I go into the major bad stuff. I just want to talk about Tartarus, because Tartarus sucks really bad, and I was going off the Velvet Room requests, and normally the Velvet Room requests are totally fine. Like, I actually kind of like that I have little things like that to go throughout the game, because it'll show you how to do, like, fusion spell requests. It teaches you how to do those things by showing you, oh, if this thing and this thing can make a fusion spell or whatever. And in this game, fusion spells are 2 personas that you have in your party, and you equipped one of them, and then you can use, like, a fusion spell, and the fusion spell will take up kind of like a lot of MP, but it'll do, like, a special thing. And so that's actually pretty neat and stuff like that. But it's just like, oh my god. But Tartarus, yeah. Tartarus is also really bland looking. Like, Tartarus is a randomly generated dungeon, and Tartarus is like, oh, each block of Tartarus is just very slightly different, and it honestly kind of sucks. I'm just going to move on from Tartarus because I don't want to nag about it all day. I just kind of wanted to get that feeling out there. And for being honest, I don't really have too much good to say after that, besides, the characters are pretty cool. I like a lot of their designs. My favorite character is Akihiko, for going male characters or overall characters. And my favorite female character, honestly, I'm not sure. I wasn't a huge fan of all of them, but I really like Elizabeth. I really like Aigis. And, if I had to pick a main girl, like part of your party that's not Aigis, I guess I'd pick Fuka. I actually really like Fuka a lot. Yeah, she's an introvert. She's pretty cool. She's pretty cute. Good girl. Good girl. I like doing the Elizabeth quest stuff, fusions. The one thing I don't like about fusion, though, is that it doesn't tell you whether or not you fused something before. So, like, it's not it'll tell you if you're too high level or something, but not if you fused it before. So that can make fusing, like, if you're not constantly checking, like, your compendium, it can make that really annoying. And also, if you don't register your personas after you make them, they'll just save as, like, the base form. So, when you fuse, you can inherit moves from your personas. Well, if you don't register the persona after you make it, the inherited moves won't transfer over. It'll just be base persona. So that also sucks, but I didn't even realize that till halfway through the game, so whatever, I guess. Let's see, I like Elizabeth. I like the story. I like that it's a more mature kind of story, and it tackles sometimes like more relatable kind of darker themes, and you know, it really touches upon some stuff that makes you think about stuff, like think about your life. But honestly, for me, I'd almost say that the more definitive way to play Persona 3 is the portable game. And I'm going to get into this. I'm not going to talk about the portable game that much right now because I'm going to replay it eventually, whatever. But I'm just going to say this. The reason I say it's a definitive version may or may not be the portable game is because the portable game fixes a lot of problems I'm about to go over in my negative section, because a lot of it stems from specifically battling, which is a big part of this game. But the portable version also has, it takes out all the cutscenes and like all the 3D models minus when you go into Tartarus and stuff like that. And it replaces it with more visual novel style where it's just like a character cutout. And so that might like might turn off a lot of people, and that's perfectly fine. That's why I say maybe. If you don't mind stuff like that, I'd almost recommend the portable version more, just because it does have more of those quality of life improvements that will make all the really annoying shit I'm about to talk about feel way better. But if you don't like that sort of thing, then just go ahead and play FES. It's still worth playing. Persona 3 is still a good game, and FES is the most updated version of the console version of the game. So I definitely recommend that if you don't want to play it any other way, like on a handheld. Just get FES. It's still a good game, and it's still worth the play. But now I'm going to move on a little bit, and I'm going to talk about a bunch of the negatives. And I know it's going to sound bad that it's mostly negatives right now, but that's because, man, they made a lot of quality of life improvements in the future, and I really appreciate them. So I have a list here. First of all, the less egregious thing is that there's no fast travel. The reason this is only slightly an issue in FES is because you still have that thing where it's like, oh, if you have a persona of the same type as the social link, it can really help. So it's really annoying when you have to like go, you know, you feel like, oh, Star Social Link's ready today. Let me run to Elizabeth, now let me run back. It can get like really tedious really fast, especially if you're constantly doing it when you're just fucking around with your social links. So just know that there's no fast travel, so at least not in FES, so it'd be extra annoying. They did fix that in portable. One of the things that I think is just completely fucking stupid is the fact that you cannot equip your armor and weapons from the status screen. You have to go to the guy, you buy the stuff, and if you want to double check, you can't equip it when you go buy it either. If you want to double check to see if you have that equipment equipped on your character, you have to like scroll, you have to go like check, scroll through, whatever. And then if you want to actually equip it, you need to like go to Tartarus, and then I'm not sure, I haven't tried doing it with Fuka specifically, but most of the time what I would have to do is, when I would go to Tartarus, I would have to talk to your allies, because you select your team every time you go. So I went to Tartarus, I would talk to my allies, and then I would ask to check to see their status, and then you equipped it in the status screen for them. And that is such a fucking roundabout way of needing to do it. Even if you can do it when you talk to Fuka, that's still a huge pain in the ass. Just let me go into like just let me go to my own status screen or like equipment or whatever, and just fucking put it on my characters. There's no reason for me to do any of that extra stuff. In this game, characters will get tired after battling a certain amount and just leave. Not when you're in the middle of going through the dungeon, but when you go back to the base floor, those characters will just leave. Honestly, this never bothered me that much. I just tried my best to always battle as much as I could before I went back down to the like to the base area, like the hub area. But also, I go to Tartarus semi-frequently, so it never really bothered me that happened. But know that does happen, and it can be annoying for people, especially if you want, because when you go back to the hub area in FES, you like restore your SP and MP. So if you were like going back down, maybe just to do that, the characters you have in your party, if they're tired, they're just gonna leave. Something that's vaguely unfair in this game is that once you're knocked down, it takes a full turn to get back up. And I say that's unfair specifically because in the situation where this ties into another thing. there's no defend in this. There's only a wait. And this is what I'm talking about. So in future games, there's defend options. So if you know an attack's coming that's going to completely fuck you, like let's say it's a super powerful attack that might just completely kill you, or let's say you don't have a persona that can resist electric, and you're going to, and somehow, for some reason, all your personas weak to electric, or something weird's going to happen, and you're like, well shit, I can't dodge this, or you really want to keep this one persona equipped because like healing or something. You can't just defend so you don't take that electric damage and fall down. What'll happen is you just wait, and or you could attack or whatever, but you will never be able to defend against it, which means you'll always get hit by it if they use it, unless you manage to dodge for it somehow. And then if you get hit by it and you fall down, it will take you a full turn to get back up. And that can completely fuck you up, especially if you're fighting like a boss or something. Having that happen to you, even if it's like a lucky crit, can completely ruin an entire run of a boss fight or something, just because it takes you a full turn to get back up, and that full turn could have been used to heal or do whatever. And it's not like it's your fault. You couldn't have perceived that critical hit. You couldn't have perceived, you could only have hoped to dodge because you can't defend. The fact that there is no defend option and just a wait option is completely bullshit, I think. That is the one thing that is like, talking to my friend, that feels like it's just going against the character, just like fuck the character, fuck the person playing. There is absolutely no reason to not be able to at least defend in that situation. Another thing that makes this worse is that you cannot control your party members. If you're used to playing Persona 5 or even Persona 4, you can't control your party members in the original 3 FES. Once again, everything I've talked about has been fixed in the Vita version, or I'm sorry, the PSP version that's also on the Vita, because they just added a bunch of quality of life improvements. You cannot control your party members. And the next couple things are all tied together. So you can't control your party members. The AI makes really fucking stupid decisions a lot of the time, and the way you mitigate that is that you have tactics that you go into, in the other games, and you can set like the tactics to a bunch of different stuff. The thing is that the tactics aren't unlocked all at once. So let's say you want your party members to attack a down target or try to specifically down the target. You don't have that unlocked in the beginning. You can't do it. Or at least one of those things I know for a fact, it's not unlocked in the beginning. You have to beat the bosses that are on during the full moons during the game, and then you unlock new tactics. And the AI, I'll admit, the AI does get gradually better as the game goes on, even without tactics. But it doesn't help that in the start of the game, even up until the halfway point, they're really fucking stupid. I mean, there's that whole joke about Mitsuru Senpai when she joins. There'll be times where it's like, use Bufu skills. Nope, she's just like Marin Karen. I know that target is weak to Bufu skills, but fuck it, Marin Karen. Doesn't make any sense, doesn't help anybody, but she'll do it. And since you can't control your party members, you can't just be like, hey, use Bufu skills. And the fact that your party members are so fucking unreliable because you cannot control them and you don't always have the tactics and their AI sucks dick, it's like you feel like you need to make up for the fact that your party members might just completely fuck you over. And so you have you try and have like a persona that has like everything on it, but then fusing personas is bullshit because the go in, check your stats, exit out, or check your abilities, exit out way of using is so bullshit, especially in 3. I feel like in 3 it's extra hard to get what you want. A lot of the times it feels like they the rate in which you'll inherit like healing skills and damaging spell skills, like let's say Miragi, Bufula, whatever, it's really thin. I remember constantly going in and out, trying to inherit sometimes just like a simple skill when let's say my personas only have 3 skills each. It'll be a pain in the ass just to try and inherit like Agi or something like that. Even though when I played Persona 4, I don't remember having that much of an issue. You still got to go through that whole song and dance, but it's not as hard. But in this one, it's like, oh, you can only get support shit, and if you want anything else, it's going to take you half an hour of trying to get it on your persona. It's a real pain in the ass. And honestly, everything I just talked about, minus like that last bit, pretty much everything else I've talked about was, like I said, fixed in the PSP Vita version. But if you don't like the way that the style of gameplay is, you will have to deal with these things, because in FES, that is just what it's there. The thing that bothers me is that I hear a lot of people say stuff like, oh, it's part of the game, it makes sense with the themes of the game, but I think that's complete bullshit. Yes, to a certain degree, it makes sense with the themes of the game and like humanity, and they try and make the characters feel very human by making you have to kind of jump through a bunch of these hoops. Like they'll get tired, you have to talk to them, do stuff and whatever. But just because it's in line with the game's themes does not mean that it's good. Yeah, anyway, that's really all my thoughts on Persona 3 FES. I don't really have a lot more to say, mostly because, I'm just talking about this game in the way I felt about it playing it casually. I do still like this game, and I do highly recommend this game, whether you decide to play vanilla Persona 3 for whatever reason, FES, or even portable. I think they're all pretty good games for, whatever reason you're playing that particular type of game. Personally, I like playing portable a lot more most of the time, but that's because not even all the quality of life improvements. Really, it's just the fact that I can control my party members makes me really like it. And I don't really mind not having the cutscenes as much in the visual novel style because I actually just like visual novels, so it really doesn't bother me. I really wanted to play FES in particular this time though because I never beat it, and I kind of just wanted to go ahead and play the console version because, yeah, let's see the cutscenes I've never really seen or whatever. I played the game mostly to the end, but I never beat it. So now I've finally beaten it. It's a chapter in my life that's over. I can go back to it whenever I want. It's been a long time coming. I got it when the game first came out or around that time, so I'm really happy it's finally done. I can finally say I beat it. I haven't played the answer though, and I'm not going to play that for a little bit longer just because I have other stuff I want to do and I don't want to be miserable, but ultimately, yeah, I really like Persona 3. I do highly recommend you play some version of Persona 3, and yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the game in the comments below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!